It's crazy that more than 20 years before the American Revolution began, George Washington actually incited a world war in the woods in Pennsylvania. This world war would become known as the French and Indian War in the United States, and worldwide it would be known as the 7 Years' War. At this time, the territorial makeup of America was much different than it was during the American Revolution. The East Coast was occupied by the British colonies, and the Midwest was occupied by the French. It is 1754, and a 22-year-old George Washington is a lieutenant colonel for the British, and he's been sent to the Ohio River Valley to make sure that the British are not being impeded by the French from being active in the area. It is late May, and Washington sets up camp in what is now southwestern Pennsylvania when he receives word from his Native American allies that the French are active in the area. In the early hours of the morning, the tribal warriors bring Washington and about 40 of his men into the Pennsylvania forest to show him where the French are hiding. Here's a picture of where this happened. It's now known as Jumonville Glen. The French were at the bottom of this rock face, while the British and Native Americans were up top looking down at the French. To this day, it's not totally known who fired first, whether it was George Washington and his men or the Native Americans firing down at the French, or the French were the first to fire up at them. Regardless, the French were really outnumbered, and it was basically a shooting gallery for the British and the Native Americans up top, so a few of the Frenchmen were killed and the rest were taken prisoner, and a world war had begun in the woods in Pennsylvania. The British would ultimately win the French and Indian War, and America, a few decades later, would win its independence.